Hi, I'm Dr. Sharon Huang.
I'm Dr. Liu-Trofimovsky.
Hi, I'm Dr. Nayoung Kim. We're all school psychologists in MCPS.
The title of our presentation is Asian American Mental Health: How to Stay Strong and Healthy.
Recently, there's been a rise in anti-Asian hate and violence during the pandemic. Students may feel embarrassed or even ashamed to get help for their social and emotional well-being. We are here to talk about some of the challenges that Asian American students may face and how to get help and resources for their struggles. Here are some outcomes we would like to achieve for our presentation. We'll be talking about the mono-minority myth, bullying and racism, and how to get support for mental health. First, let's look at the population of Asian Americans in Montgomery County. As you can see from this chart, Asian Americans are an incredibly diverse group in Montgomery County. We make up 15.2% of the entire population. In Montgomery County Public Schools, Asian American students make up 14.1% of the population. I'll be talking about the mono-minority myth. What is this term? You may have heard it before. The mono-minority myth is a stereotype, which is a belief that people have about a group of people based on how they look on the outside or their background. For example, if you look Asian American on the outside, people might view you as smart, successful, doing well in school, and studying a lot. Here are some examples of what people might think or say about you if they believe in the mono-minority myth. People might think that you're good at math and science and get good grades. People might think that you're smart and successful and work hard. People may think you don't have to deal with racism or need support. Racism is an important word. It means treating people unfairly due to the color of their skin. People might even ask you where you're from or tell you that your English is good. And people may think that you're a foreigner who's someone from another country. These are some words that you may see or hear about being Asian American. They're not always true because they're based on people's stereotypes about Asian Americans. So even though some of these words may seem positive, they can still be damaging if they're not true about you. So let's talk more about why the mono-minority myth is damaging. First, people in groups may not think that Asian Americans have to deal with racism. But there's a long history of racism that Asian Americans have faced that's not always included in school instruction and conversations. Second, the mono-minority myth doesn't see the differences between Asian American groups and believes that they're all the same. But Asian American groups are very different from each other, so it's unfair to think of them as all the same. And finally, some people believe that Asian Americans are successful and educated due to this mono-minority myth, so they don't feel like they need any help for racism and other challenges. But many Asian American groups face challenges, as you'll see in the next slide, and they need a lot of help. Here's a picture that shows facts about Asian Americans that don't quite fit the mono-minority myth. For example, one of the facts says that 35 to 40% of Hmong, Laotian, and Cambodian populations don't finish high school. So this fact doesn't fit with the stereotype that Asians do well in school. So what can you do about the mono-minority myth now that you know it's damaging? It's important to understand that it's harmful. Just because people might use positive words to describe you doesn't mean that they're necessarily complimenting you. For example, your teacher might say that she's disappointed in you that you didn't do so well in your math tests because you should be good at math since you're Asian. But just because you're Asian, you don't have to be good at math. So understand that your parents and teachers might expect you to speak or act in a certain way because you're Asian, but you don't need to follow these expectations. And please don't feel bad about yourself because you can't say or act the way people expect you to based on their stereotypes of you. And if you feel stressed about anything, talk to a trusted adult who's someone you feel safe and comfortable with. You can also be proactive. So that means when you hear comments about you that are untrue, speak up and let people know. You can teach others that what they said was wrong or even hurtful. And if these comments hurt you, please talk to a trusted adult. If your school has Asian American clubs or groups, you can consider joining them to talk about how to work together to make a difference in your school or community. Now, Dr. Gia will talk about racism and bullying.
Sadly, there has been an increase in anti-Asian hate across the world because Asians are being unfairly blamed for the coronavirus. What does anti-Asian hate mean? Anti-Asian hate is when someone is mean, angry, or hurtful towards you just because you are Asian. So what types of things might you be experiencing or have seen happening to your friends? Sometimes people say things that make it seem that all Asian people are alike. As you learned before, this is called a stereotype. They might say things like all Asians are quiet, or Asians all look alike, or you must know Kung Fu. This can be upsetting or confusing because, as we said earlier on, the Asian community is made up of people from many countries who have different personalities, interests, and skills. Anti-Asian hate can also include racist language or acts against Asians. Racist language might include hearing things like the coronavirus being called the Chinese virus, or hearing people yelling at Asians to go back to their country. What are some things that can be done when you hear racist language? You can interrupt, which is taking a pause in your conversation to address the racism. You might say, "Wait, I want to talk about the language you just used." You can ask a question to better understand why the person used racist language. You can ask, "Why did you call it the Chinese virus?" You can also educate by giving information so the person rethinks the racist language they used. You can echo when someone else speaks up by thanking them, repeating their message, and adding to their message to be anti-racist. Students may face bullying as a result of the increase in anti-Asian hate and the pandemic. We want our schools to be safe learning communities for all students, so this is an important topic. First, we provide some definitions of bullying. Bullying is defined as being intentional, where the unwanted behavior is done on purpose. For example, the bully might write, "Go back home" on your belongings. It is repeated, which means that it happens more than once. For example, you get called the coronavirus by the bully each time the teacher is with other students. There is also a power imbalance, meaning the bully can use their power over those they bully. The bully might tell your classmates not to include you in any groups because you might spread the virus. There are also different types of bullying that can happen. They might be verbal, where the bully name calls or threatens to hurt the person. Physical bullying includes instances where the bully might hit, kick, spit, trip, or break someone's things. Social bullying occurs when the bully spreads rumors, leaves someone out on purpose, or tells others not to be someone's friend. Written or cyberbullying is when the bully does harm on purpose, using communication in writing or on an electronic device, media, or technology. What should you do if you are being bullied? If you are in immediate danger, get away from the situation as quickly as you can and report it to an adult. In other instances where it is safe to do so, remain calm and firmly tell the bully to stop. Walk away and report the bullying to an adult. This can be a teacher, counselor, principal, family member, or any trusted adult. You can remember the 5 W's, which are who did the bullying, what happened, when did it happen, where did it happen, and were there any witnesses? More information can be found on the montgomeryschoolsmd.org website. If you see someone being bullied, there are ways to help. A bystander might see the bullying happen and does not get involved, but you can be an upstander and speak up to support the person being bullied. Here are some ways to be an upstander. Go get help and tell an adult. If it is safe for you to do so, interrupt and question the bully's behavior. Get the person being bullied away from the situation. Tell an adult if your friend is being bullied. You can also ask the person being bullied how you can support them. More ways on how to be an upstander can be found on the montgomeryschoolsmd.org website. If you or someone witnesses anti-Asian acts in the community, there are several things you can do as an upstander. Even though this video is called bystander intervention on the website, we think these are upstander actions. Now we will play a short video on upstander actions.
Since the COVID-19 pandemic, Asian Americans have faced an alarming rise in hate incidents. Many of the victims are also some of the most vulnerable and defenseless. So what can you do to help? One way is through bystander intervention, a set of tools that can prevent verbal harassment from escalating into violence. Here are the 5 Ds of bystander intervention. Number 1, distract. Take an indirect approach. Start a conversation with the aggressor or draw attention away from the victim. Number 2, delegate. Get help from somebody else. Find a person in a position of authority nearby and ask them for assistance. Number 3, delay. After the incident is over, check in with the victim. Ask if they're all right or if they need you to take them somewhere. Number 4, direct. After assessing your safety, speak up. Tell the aggressor to leave the victim alone in a firm and clear voice. Number 5, document. Record a video of the incident at a safe distance. Film signs or landmarks to identify the location and say the date and time. Make sure you have the victim's permission before posting any footage online. We all play a role in keeping our community safe. Let's start today. Learn more at advancingjustice.org.
At this point of the presentation, Dr. Kim will share information with you about Asian Americans and mental health supports.
We're going to look at help-seeking behaviors of Asian Americans. While Asian Americans may not feel okay, they may think like, I don't have a problem. It's just a headache. I need to try harder to deal with my problems. It will go away, or I don't know what to do. Of course, there are individual differences, but research shows that most Asian Americans tend to refuse or ignore to think that they may have mental health issues. And they can also think that it's their body problem. Most Asian Americans don't tend to seek out professional help when things are not going okay. Some may not know what to do or may not know where to get help. What stops Asian Americans from seeking help to deal with their emotional issues? Research shows that shame and saving face are often related. Asian Americans are less likely to share their troubled thoughts and feelings. Asians in general value family over an individual, so they do not want others to think poorly about their parents or family. If their troubled thoughts and feelings become known, then others may think that their parents did not raise them well, or they have not tried hard enough to overcome their thoughts and feelings. So Asian Americans may think, I feel shame about struggling with my mental health. It will be a disgrace to my family. I don't want to cause any trouble. Or my parents will look bad if others know that I have mental health issues. So I need to hide my problems. Everyone thinks I'm okay. But your thoughts and feelings are real. When your feeling is really hurt, it may not go away with time and effort. If you don't treat the problems, you may feel stuck or unhappy about yourself for a long time. So if you or your loved ones are ever in need of help to deal with emotional problems, what can you do? If you're really sick, like having a flu, or if you have a broken leg, what would you do? You probably have to go see a doctor. When you're emotionally not feeling well, you also have a choice of getting help. Once you find out what specific problems you may have, you'll get the proper treatment you need. Information is power. Seeking help from a mental health professional is something many people consider, especially when they experience a stressful situation, have serious family issues, have problems with other peers, or when they want to make changes for better. Some possible benefits may include that you can learn how to have healthier choices, you can have better communication skills with peers and adults, you can find strategies to deal with your worries, you can learn to express and manage your feelings better, or you can treat more serious feelings of sadness and worries. Mental health professionals are trained to listen to your voice and understand your feelings. Many of them are also trained to be sensitive to your culture and needs. Also, they can keep your story confidential unless you or others are at risk of getting hurt, which means that they'll keep your story private and will not share with others. They're also aware of your needs in terms of how other things such as your physical health, family situation, and your unique culture can affect you. If you need any additional help, they can also send you to a right person. There are many resources at your school. You can go to your trusted adults. You can go to your school counselor. If you're in ESOL, an ESOL counselor can help you. You can also find a school psychologist at your school or get referrals to see someone outside of your school. There are many other programs available at your school, such as mindfulness and peer support groups. You can find more resources on our MCPS UL 365 website. If you have any questions about our presentation, please feel free to contact us.
The following slides include our references for the presentation. Thank you so much for joining our presentation. We hope you stay strong and healthy.